okay. For some reason I've kind of gotten in this habit of recording while I'm driving. Might not be the best idea. I am paying attention to the road. But like I said in the past, I in all likelihood need to get one of those, what do you call them, like holders. I know Fitzgerald Brown, I think he has one when he vlogs when he's driving, but anyways, it's end of day 127, and today was all right. I just had one big task to do, like a sort of mini task at the beginning of the day. But let me see. So I've got the interview tomorrow. It's like a Zoom interview. Two of the research folks. One person who's a scientist, and then another person who's like a tier 2 research associate interviewing me. So I'm gonna go and I gotta get some stuff done for my class, but I'm gonna try and sort of read over, review some more stuff as to what I did at my last job, and we'll see how it goes. Luckily, they had the interview set up for about half an hour after work ends, and since I only have my class on Mondays and Wednesdays, it's not going to be like me overlapping with my class, so I should have sufficient time to just get out to my car. Maybe even maybe even drive out of the parking lot, park someplace else, and just kind of have everything with me, my resume and all that. But depending on how it goes, I might get the offer. If not, definitely be sure to ask a lot of questions and figure out what it is that they're really looking for. Because truth be told, like with a lot of these positions, whether it's in this case a research position, research associate, or it's something more like automation related or process dev related, I've had this sort of it's a big issue of figuring out what exactly they're looking for, because not only do you have the actual job listing where it's giving you this laundry list of things, and you're just like, wait, I gotta know all that, but then you talk to them and it's like, well, half of that are nice to haves, or they're stuff that we'll train you onto, but what we really want is X, Y, Z, and until you really find out from them, you'll be sitting there thinking man, I shouldn't even bother to apply. They want someone with 5 years experience, and I've only got 2, or they want someone with 2 or 3 years experience, and I've only got a year and a half, or almost 2 years. But you go and apply, and you actually talk to them, and they're like, well, we'd like that, but if X, Y, Z, A, B, C, well, that's solid enough, or whatever the case may be, or things of that nature. Or maybe they want you to know more of the theory and they're willing to train you on the hands-on part, that sort of thing. So mostly I just want to kind of figure things out, because as much as I am big on automation, especially given the way the economy is going, definitely if you know how to do that kind of stuff, you're basically insulating yourself significantly, not 100%, but significantly against stuff like job loss and that sort of thing. And it's really one of the two paths forward for engineers in my industry. Either you go into automation, well, technically speaking, I guess there's more like 3 paths forward, but of the 3, the 2 that would interest me the most are either automation or process development. The third one is quality, as far as what I can tell. Quality engineering, but that's really not I don't know. That's not as really interesting to me. Mostly that's just kind of I don't know, figuring out why this product wasn't up to specs, or how you can make it better. For some people that might be the way, but for me, I'm more I'm really into automation or process development, where you're developing new products or ways to make, a product that's usually made, let's say, manually, make that on a significantly, scaled up level, like churning out, hundreds, thousands, maybe even, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions of units, that figuring that kind of stuff out. As I went into chemical engineering, that's kind of like, my mindset or what I'm really drawn towards. And automation is definitely part of that. I mean, if you can get a machine to do the work of, 100 people or 10 people or 1,000 people, I mean, that really makes it easier to scale things up, obviously. I mean, you don't have to hire a bunch of, individuals and have all the space set aside, to fit all those people in there, especially with, this pandemic that's been going on over the last, a year and a half, that sort of thing. But anyways, got that interview tomorrow set up, 4 p.m. Should be about half an hour to 45 minutes, they said. I responded to them, confirmed it. Like I said, I'm going to review some stuff, get my resume printed out, and, hopefully be ready to go. And, obviously be as discreet as possible. Because, the bare minimum is I need to hold down this job that I have right now. And if I can get out of manufacturing to something research-oriented or, process, well, I guess research would be leading into process dev or automation-related somehow. That would, that would really be fulfilling to me. Let's just put it that way. There's the okay, I'm just surviving or I'm making financial progress, but then there's the I'm making career progress sort of a deal. And maybe I'm being impatient. Maybe I'm not at that point. Maybe I'm not ready for it. But I guess I'll find out tomorrow. They're willing to give me a shot. I'll take it. And given that I know that with most companies, it's not because they're necessarily they're not evil, they're not vile, but as much as I might feel bad to leave the company I'm at if I was given a better offer someplace else, it's a sort of a cold hard truth, but and this is sort of, you could say it's sort of a red pill that's not gender dynamics related, but it's sort of like a cold hard truth that, if the company feels that, you're not serving their needs, you're more of a liability than an asset, they'll let you go, so it's kind of like on your end, if you find out that you have a better offer someplace else and it's going to really take your career to the next level, even if you only been at the company you're at, for a few months, you got to go for it. You're not gonna, I think, have the kind of regrets if you go for that opportunity versus, turning it down because, well, you want to be Mr. Loyal, Mr. Committed, Mr. Company man or company woman, Ms. Company woman, guy or gal, it's not gonna lead to the kind of regrets if you as the guy or the gal, go and take that opportunity and go for it. So that's what I got looking forward to tomorrow. On Wednesday I have this in-class quiz, so gonna basically prepare for that. Finish so today and tomorrow I'll prepare for it. And let me see what else. Oh, the professor was kind enough to move some due dates up by he moved the homework that was due on Wednesday up to Friday, and then we have 2 in-class assignments due on Wednesday, but most of this stuff's kind of already been done, or at least we got a good head start on it. I'll have to hop on over to our Discord channel and check that kind of stuff out, what the rest of the group's putting up there, and then I can kind of put my input in. In addition to what I was able to sort of toss into the hat, so to speak, today. But at the same time, I don't feel like taking that extension, for the homework and going, oh, it's just going to be due on Friday, because the reality is, in all likelihood, there's probably going to be some stuff that will show up from the homework on the quiz. So, I'm still, as much as I'm taking into consideration the fact that there's that extension, I sort of want to, mentally really sort of run based off of the old due date and say, okay, I'm gonna try and finish up the homework either tonight or tomorrow night. Just so I'll be that much more sharp. That much sharper for the quiz. But yeah, so moving that sort of stuff forward. I don't know what else. I mean, I'm gonna probably do some other stuff in my free time if I have it. Even if I have a few hours. But I had my last caffeine intake around noon time. So unless I really feel the need to do any of that sort of intake of caffeine, I'm probably just gonna let it taper off this evening and see how that works out. Because remembering Dark Magician's comment about the half-life of caffeine being about 5 hours, which I possibly could have gone and looked that up myself, but just having someone there to sort of toss that information my way really helps. And it's something that, and I do not know if I said this in a video that I uploaded, or that was something that I think I may have done some sort of video that I did not upload. Might have been in one of those sort of failed uploads, or where I did a sort of a redo. I didn't mention it, the one that I actually uploaded, but to sort of branch off from just the whole this is my day sort of talk. My spiritual system, for lack of a better way of describing it, being Thelema at this point in my life. One of the things that I've really sort of pursued on and off. I mean, I need to get back to be more consistent and really make it sort of a foundational principle of my day-to-day practice and life way, so to speak, or lifestyle and eventuality. But I've been keeping what you call a magical journal, where you detail your spiritual practices. And one of the things that I was really heavily interested into, and this is definitely back in college, was the sort of effect of caffeine consumption on meditation and your ability to focus, especially applying Raja Yoga or ritual prayer, and that sort of its effect on the attainment of one-pointedness of the mind. And that was sort of one of my questions, was okay, so at what point, if I want to be able to sort of reap the benefits of caffeine consumption, but without all the sort of bad side effects, at what point in time before the meditation would I have to consume the caffeine and let it sort of be metabolized? And the half-life is about 5 hours. I mean, I would think that 5 hours would therefore be a sort of prime time before engaging in meditation or prayer to consume it. Because I mean, depending upon your spiritual tradition and therefore your ritual practice, sometimes, and this is something I've seen with my old sort of spiritual ways, consuming a lot of caffeine right around the time of prayer enhanced the prayer. And some of that is because when you're talking about sort of ritual prayer where you're actually in motion, being in motion mentally contributes to being in motion physically, especially when you got to concentrate on certain motions and the biomechanics of your the mechanics of your body, such that you don't lose your balance, or you maintain your self-focus facing a certain direction. So that can I can see sort of an analogy there of that caffeine consumption immediately beforehand actually enhances the practice. Whereas if you're going to be sitting there for 15 minutes, half an hour, trying to sort of still your mind, the opposite would be the case. So it would almost sort of depend upon the practice itself. Okay, do I need to be in motion? Am I moving? Am I getting up, sitting down, bowing, prostrating, that sort of thing, versus if you're going to be just sitting there cross-legged and trying to sort of still your mind. So sort of an interesting sort of point there. I may if I I start my magical journal again, and I'm able to, establish consistency this time around, I may, in fact, like make that, point to sort of, state in my record, given that it's something that, it's not only been, on my mind, kind of puzzling me for a long time, but I think it'd be sort of an idea or a point to take into consideration when actually establishing sort of a spiritual routine, because that's sort of one of the things in life that I've sort of figured out is that, depending upon your own personal circumstances, which I guess is sort of like, being redundant, saying your and personal, but it's sort of like you have to figure that kind of stuff out. What is the most optimal for you? And whether that's, people talk about learning styles, or talk about exercise routines, or diets, or morning routines, or evening routines, or whatever it is that you sort of have to find out as working the best for you as an individual to get the best results, in terms of trying to sort of pursue some goal or some process. And some point that I feel like I've not only had to make to myself, like, okay, this is kind of like part of doing the work, but also to others, like and maybe it's kind of like, I don't know, like branching off into sort of a topic of the idea of like helping others versus helping yourself, and where you draw that line. And it's not even just a matter of being selfish versus not being selfish. It's almost like how can I be most effective, and how can they be most effective, and how can we together be most effective, and where do we draw the line in terms of like personal responsibility. And I don't necessarily mean that in the terms of like, okay, who to blame. I mean like who can really be effective in this role or this task. It's almost like when I'll see like or I'll listen to or I'll watch these videos or podcasts or like response videos where it's someone like, let's say, Aaron Clary or Rollo Tomasi or others, where they're like responding to someone, maybe their super chat, or they send in a video request, and they, obviously, paid the fee and that sort of thing. And it's like, in the process, not just obviously paying, but, whether a super chat or a video request, they had to sort of detail their own circumstances, and it's sort of like there are things when it comes to fixing issues in your life, or getting the most out of your life, or being the most effective, or solving this problem or that problem. It's like there are things out there that you as an individual will know, because it's sort of like your experiential knowledge that you will have inherently, because it's your life, that either you would have to explain in detail to someone to such an extent they would understand, and it would take a lot of time and effort, or else there are things that like you really can't get across, even in language, in terms of language, and those are some of the things that I think when it comes to solving these issues or making the best of your life, that it's sort of like you got to figure that stuff out yourself. And that can be looked at spiritually, philosophically, all of that. That's why, like, a lot of cases, like, I had to tell some folks who might want my assistance, like, okay, here are the things that I can do, and here are the things that I can't do. And it's not because I'm trying to be some selfish jerk or something like that. It's just like, I gotta be honest. Here are my limitations. Here's what I'm capable of. Here's what I'm incapable of. And it's not a matter of like trying to weasel my way out of doing stuff with people. It's like, okay, just being honest, because how there's that saying, like, don't make a promise you can't keep. I mean, like, if I go, and whether it's a spiritual matter, or it's financial, or it's whatever the case may be, and I go and try and overpromise or oversell, like, I mean, what's going to happen? All sorts of bad outcomes. When you go and you say, oh, I'm going to do this, or I can do that, and then you not able to. It might irk people if you say, sorry, I can't do that, but I think it'll probably have, hey, from experience, it'll have a far more negative effect if you go and you promise you're going to do something and you can't do it, or you fail to do that, or you only half follow through. But anyway, so there's some of the thoughts in my mind right now. The other thing, which it's kind of weird in some sense, but there's that girl I talked about at my work. I don't know, man. It's something weird that just kind of occurred today. Maybe it was the perfume she was wearing, or just sort of me being observant. Maybe not even like consciously observant, but sort of seeing that like there's things about her, and this is not like necessarily bad things. This is not like me being reminded in a bad way, but there's things about her that remind me of my sister, and inevitably I kind of realized that I've been getting sort of like disinterested in her. Like I had that sort of time where there was a little flirtation back and forth, and I think that was fundamentally because, like, for one thing, I'm a guy and she's a girl. I am in my 30s. She, I think, is in her 20s. And, there's that sort of natural dynamic there. But also, like, when it comes to, like, in terms of, let's say, hair color or, skin complexion or eye color, that sort of thing, like, she has, like, those features, and ironically enough, like, in terms of physical features, she doesn't, per se, look like my sister, but it's almost like on a pheromonal level, because like my family does have some, I don't know what the percentage is, but we do have some South Asian ancestry, and she's South Asian, and who knows, maybe it's something to do with that, because and who knows, maybe who knows, and maybe there's some like influence of NoFap up there that I'm like kind of like seeing a lot of sort of changes, and maybe it's where I'm at in life, and sort of like consciously or subconsciously I'm finding ways to disqualify girls. Like I'll say they're not this or that, whereas like if you were to talk to me about the one-eyedest girl, like I don't know what, let's say 2 years ago, or no, not even no, let's go back 3 years ago. 3 years ago, it'd be like, even though there would have been this whole laundry list of things that have been like, bro, like, dude, this disqualifies this girl from anything serious or productive, or whatever you want to call it, healthy, or anything good, should make her unattractive. Even like physically speaking, it was like I was so caught up in my idealization and sort of this idea of her, as opposed to reality. And now it's like I'm looking at reality and I'm thinking, like, with this girl or that girl, like, okay, like what is the, or what would the kind of girl that a guy who's red pill aware and has his act together and doesn't want to, I guess you could say, lose the farm. And by the farm I mean, like, it's not just about losing property or money or stuff like that, but more like losing your mission, losing your sanity, losing your health, losing time. What kind of girl would that look like? That would be sort of I don't want to say qualifying for, but worth going for long term. And this is without even considering the whole like dynamic of being a co-worker, that sort of deal. Even beyond that, just in a generic sense. So it was something weird that went down today. Not like that it physically manifested, but it was sort of a dynamic that played out in my mind, so to speak. More on like sort of a mental, emotional, or even sort of neurochemical level. I can kind of detect that sort of sense of things. But anyways, coming up on 25 minutes, roughly about the time that it takes me to commute home. So let me see, I'm going to try to park my car and not hit anything or hit anybody. So Anyways, I don't have much else to say right now. But, yeah. If I have anything else to say, I'll probably make another video. So, anywho, I'll see you folks around. Thanks for watching. And, yeah. Take it easy. Bye.